Oh, hey there. Welcome back to another episode of Print, Shoot, Repeat. It is the end of August 2022, and you know what that means. That means it's time for the August 2022 Q&A right here, happening live and direct. So stick around. It's going to be a lot of fun. First off, before we get into it, I want to thank KAK Industry for being the exclusive channel sponsor for Print, Shoot, Repeat. What do KAK do? Well, they make quality yet affordable parts, your ARs and more, all sorts of calibers, very unique stuff like 9x39 barrels for your ARs. That's pretty cool. And in addition to that, they support the 3D printing gun community. They really like what we're doing here. So thank you to them. KAK is awesome. And if you want to get 10% off your order at kakindustry.com, you can with the code PSR. So check them out. So the way I decided to do this is I will have you guys ask any questions you want in the YouTube comments of this video, which I will try to answer the next month's Q&A. And I'm going to take last month's Q&A and answer some of the questions that I saw in the video in there. I'm not going to be able to get to all of them, but I am skimming through them and trying to pick up the ones that I think I can answer. So the patron supporters do get priority when it comes to the questions. So we're going to start with those questions, and then we're going to come around to any announcements that I have about the channel and some of the merch offerings for this month's merch drop through badattitudedepartment.com. All right, let's get into the questions. So the first question from one of my patron supporters, Brogan, is, can you 3D print a 3D printer? And from my knowledge, the answer to that question is more or less yes. You can 3D print a 3D printer. You do need some things additionally though, you know, some electronics and servo motors and whatnot to get the axes to go up and down. That's my understanding, and preferably some metal, you know, rods that guide it. But other than that, you can print so many different parts, and people already do print all sorts of upgrades for the Ender 3 and some of the other open source designs. It's really possible to print any kind of plastic bit that you would put on a 3D printer. You can print. So yes, in theory, yes. And probably someone will add in the comments of this video, link me a video where you're more in detail answering that question, or if you have an example that you want to show of someone that actually 3D printed a 3D printer, please go ahead and leave that in the comments. Next question is from Lawrence G, and he says, when are you building an Arc? Well, great question, Lawrence. I am in the process of building an Arc right now, and I will be doing a video on one very soon. The Arc is designed by Invader Zip of Are We Cool Yet? Aussie. It's a very futuristic looking gun, and if you haven't checked it out, I suggest you go look it up. It's very cool. So that is coming, so be patient. Next question is from Afghani Stanley, and he says, does it in fact feel good to be a gangsta? Yes, it feels very good to be a gangsta. Just ask the Ghetto Boys. And also, so far of your printed projects, of your favorite, what's your favorite if you had to choose? All right, well, my favorite is probably the KF5, the 3D printed MP5. I think that's probably not a surprise to a lot of you who have seen my videos and have been watching the series on the KF5. The KF5 is incredibly light. It's modernized. It uses an AR fire control group. You can put a binary trigger in it. It is awesome. I'm going to come out with very soon, probably in the next week, you will see the video on the binary trigger KF5 very soon. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be a fun one. I'm really excited to show you guys that video. And so that would be my answer. My second favorite probably would be the CZAR, which I did very early on in the channel. You can go back and watch some of those videos, but I'm going to do an update because there has been an update to that, and I'm going to do an update, and I'm going to try to put the binary trigger in the CZAR, and I will do another video on that and revisit that gun because it's such a fun gun to shoot. If you haven't checked it out, check out the CZAR. It's also designed by Navigo Boom / Ivan the Troll. Okay, next question is from Alskari S. And Alskari says, previously you've said that you've had some contractual obligations regarding Spotify. Does the HK Slap upload mean those are over, or is that in still effect? And if so, when do you think that situation will change? Well, it's sort of changed, and I am releasing some music slowly. I think I'm going to wait a little bit before I put together like a whole project, but that project, my PSR project with music on it by original PSR songs, a collection of all the stuff that I've done and maybe some new tracks as well, that will be coming out. So stay patient. Alskari, I'm working on it. I can't say when it's going to come out, but I am totally working on putting out an actual project. So far, the HK Slap has over 70,000 streams on Spotify alone, and like almost 300,000 views on the music video. So that's pretty awesome and an honor that you guys like that so much and are playing that song. It means the world. So thanks for streaming it. Next question is from Davey, and Davey asks, what is your favorite caliber and why? Or top three? Well, I gotta say, my favorite caliber, well, I really like, it's kind of stupid, because it's not a good caliber. It's been replaced basically by 9mm, but I really like 32 ACP. I know that sounds stupid because it is outdated and it's expensive and no one uses it, but in the VZ61, in the CZAR, it feels like a 22. It's just such a light recoil round. Obviously, it's not doing the damage ballistically that 9mm is, but it's also lighter, and it's like somewhere in between, almost like a 22 and a 9, probably closer to the size of a 9, but 32 ACP is cool. I like 32 ACP. It's not coming out as hot as a 9 is, and it's not doing as much damage. So it's really not very effective caliber for self-defense, but it's really fun to plink with, and a suppressed VZ61 would be super cool in 32 ACP. Another caliber I like 7.62-39, but that's, because it's relatively cheap, it's probably going to get more expensive, and because of the Russian embargo, it looks like we may run out of it at some point, but there also is a fuck ton of it here, so it may be a while before that happens. Steel cased, feeding the AKs, I don't mind 7.62-39. And then I guess the third one would be 308. I think 308's a great caliber. Yeah, so those are the top three, I guess. I love 9mm. I have, most guns I have are in 9mm, so I guess you could call that a favorite as well. Okay, so Ty says, where do you get your build blueprints from? Anywhere you recommend? So unfortunately, YouTube won't allow me to really fully answer this question. But I think one of the best creators to check out, both on Instagram and on YouTube and on their website, is Control Pew. So check out Control Pew, and he's a great creator to follow. James F. asks, what's the best firearm to start 3D printing for if I'm going to do my first print? I started with a low point V2, and I've been messing with the printer on and off for a year. After working ass backwards, I accidentally making the low point into a flinch and fire weapon, I finally figured out all the basic requirements with filament handling and printer management. I needed to get good frame prints with all 10 fingers somehow intact. Well, starting with a low point may not be the greatest first one to start with, because high points are generally, there's lots of variables in whether or not they'll break, other than the fact that you may have printed it correctly or not. So I would say if you want to start with a first print, a Glock is a good way to go. It's hard to mess up a Glock if you print it correctly, 100% infill. But a little 22 plinker is a great one to start too. The bubble gun that I did a video on is a really fun, easy one to get into. And 22s, they're not gonna be extreme consequences if for some reason you mess something up. An outer battery on a 22 is not gonna damage your fingers usually, unless you have them right near the ejection port or something like that. So I would say anything 22 is probably a safe place to start. That's the end of the Patreon questions. Let's go to some of the YouTube comment questions. So one of the YouTube questions was from The Chomp, and The Chomp asks, has anyone come out with a rotary type 3D firearm, like a Gatling gun made from AR-15 barrels or something? It would be totally legal as long as it was semi-auto. Well, I can imagine, so to my knowledge, no one's done that. I did see a design recently that was set up like, I think it was one AR-15 with thumb triggers, and it had a FRT or some force reset trigger on it. And in the rear wasn't a stock, it was like handles, like a full-on machine gun, which is kind of crazy. Not a machine gun, but, well, you know, not a machine gun right now, but the ATF wants to say that anything with a FRT is a machine gun, but we're not gonna get into that. But I've seen that. I haven't seen a design with multiple AR-15s yet. That would be interesting. There is a double barrel, double slide, double trigger Glock that is one frame that includes two. There is a double trigger, double frame Glock, like single frame, but it holds two slides and two triggers, so two separate triggers. That's called the Glocknovsky, and that is something I really want to try. But that's not ARs. So to my knowledge, no one's done a like rotating barrel type firearm that's semi-auto, that's 3D printed, or any kind of 3D printed rotating barrel gun, to my knowledge. If you do know of one, please answer in the comments. Next question, what got you into music production and how long have you been doing that? I noticed a few pieces of outbound equipment like synths in the background of other videos. Wondering also what your favorite thing you own to do with that is. Good question. Well, I've been making music since I was a little kid. I used to play violin. I don't play it as much anymore, but I think it gave me kind of a background in making music, and so I started doing music production when I was like 16 or 17 and got into it. Was using FL Studio. That's the program I use. I do use Logic to track my vocals and stuff, but I love using hardware. I like using software synths too. Hardware synths are really awesome if you're looking to get into doing music production and you want to learn about synthesis and how to create sounds and make your own synth sounds and patches. I would say my favorite thing to do that with is a Moog Grandmother. It's a analog synth. You can't save anything. There's no like patch memory bank, but it's a really great synth to learn how to program your own sounds. And so I would recommend, if you're getting into synthesis and you want to learn about how to make cool sounds, I mean, Moog makes some of the coolest gear. They're based in North Carolina. They're a great company. They've been making synths for all of the epic, I mean, so many amazing songs have been put together with the assistance of Moog synthesizers. So check them out, M-O-O-G. The Moog Grandmother is one of my favorites. And that was a question from JD, by the way. Bedlam and Breakfast asks, what was the most important skill to develop in your journey into 3D printed firearms? Well, I think patience is the most important skill, and just having the most dedication to reading the documentation that the developers have put together for you, the printer of the guns. You should always read the manuals and really go over them as much as possible. There's a mistake that happens where people just think, okay, here's the STL, I'm going to print it, and they don't read any of the documentation, and as a result, they skip really important steps, and that can lead to really bad problems, big problems. So I would say the most important skill is to be able to read the manuals, read the PDFs, read the READMEs that come with these files, and so that you do not get yourself into a stinky situation, and that you are being very diligent to check always that you're doing everything right, double, triple check, and have patience, and don't try to rush things. And just don't be stupid, and also practice safe firearm building and safe firearm practices when you go to test fire the guns, okay? I know desk pops in theory sound fun, but probably not fun. I've never experienced one, and hopefully I don't, knock on wood. Good old desk pop. Another question from G Kip is, have you done anything with 3D metal printing, and if so, is it worthwhile with the extra equipment needed? Well, in order to 3D print steel, it's using a sintering method usually, and you need hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment to do that. So I would say it's not worth it, because unless you are a multimillionaire and you have $700,000, I don't know. I think you have to get an oven to bake it in and process it in, and then you need the printer itself, which can be anywhere from $300,000 to $500,000, I think. So unless you want to start this as a business and you want to make 3D printed parts for like aerospace or automotive industries or firearm industry, and you have a clear plan as to how you're going to do it, and you have a investor maybe, then I would say it's not really worth it. But it is pretty cool to print steel. Someone did 3D print a metal, a 1911, and it costed like a couple $100,000. So that's not really a viable option. Next question is from Jacob J. It says, definitely would like to hear about your workout routine and or diet. Started lifting like 5 months ago, put on a few pounds and gained some strength, but getting enough calories in was a challenge. Okay, so I have gone on a little bit of a weight loss journey. I'm not going to go too far into it unless you guys want me to get really deep into it and do a video on it, but I was feeling really unhealthy. I was at the heaviest I've ever been in my life about, I want to say about 5 months ago. I was weighing in. I'm a smaller guy, if you haven't picked that up. I'm short, and I was weighing in at around 160 pounds, and I just felt really sluggish and really out of shape. I was, editing a lot, and I just wasn't getting enough exercise, A, and then B, my diet habits weren't so great. And so I remember just like getting up and going to the bathroom to take a piss and feeling like I was out of breath, and that was like really scary to me. So I said, this is it. I'm not going to let this get out of hand, and I need to get in shape, and I want to lose weight as well. So I decided I was going to go into a caloric deficit and focus on my diet. And then in addition to that, I was going to work on getting exercise every day and holding myself accountable to getting that exercise. So I started to work out about 30 to 45 minutes a day doing cardio on a stationary bike, and didn't really do much lifting, but just focused on cardio. And then my diet consisted of going into a caloric deficit. And caloric deficit means you eat less calories, consume less calories than your body burns, and so that you lose weight. So you take in less calories, and therefore you lose weight by consuming less calories, and your body naturally burns calories. And so you have everyone's got their own calories in terms of their height and weight, which they will lose weight if they eat this many calories every day. So it really comes down to, if you want to lose weight, you have to go into a caloric deficit. Exercising helps, cardio helps, but really it's your diet. And I changed my diet, and in 2.5 months to 3 months, I went from being 160 to about 135. So I lost like 25 pounds in around 2.5 months, which was pretty intense. And at times it was tough, but I found a way to eat foods that were filling but not high in calories. Calorie dense foods and fat, like super fatty carbohydrate foods with a lot of sugar in them, they are very high calories but not very filling. So I found a good amount of food that I liked, that didn't taste horrible, that was high in protein and filled me up, but at the same time was not high in fat or calorie content. And I was able to achieve the amount of calories every day that I put my aim towards. I counted my calories, and I know it sounds annoying, and it sounds like, maybe you feel like self-conscious counting calories, but it really does help you stay on track. And so I would write down my calories every day and keep track of everything I put in my mouth. Well, maybe not everything that I put in my mouth, but everything that I swallowed and put in my stomach counted that calorie. So if you want to lose that weight and you want to get a little bit tighter physique, if you know what I mean, then this is what I suggest. You go Google calorie calculator, there's plenty online. Check out, based on your height and weight and your exercise, how much calories you need to eat per day to lose weight and follow that schedule. And I found helpful to let those numbers fluctuate a little bit because your body will eventually get used to eating less calories and it will not stimulate your metabolism as well. So I usually like fluctuated by, anywhere between 300 calories, 100 to 300 calories every day. Sometimes I eat a little bit more, sometimes I eat a little bit less. That way you keep your body's metabolism kind of, going. And I lost 25 pounds. And I did do a little bit of lifting, just kind of maintenance, kind of high reps, low weight maintenance lifting. But other than that, I really haven't gone too crazy. Had protein shakes. Protein shakes do help fill you up a little bit. And I ate lean meats that didn't have a lot of fat in them, like ground turkey or chicken breast. And, I worked through it with that, but just watch your sugar intake, because sugar intake definitely leads to higher calorie intake, which will help you, which will hurt your overall calorie intake if you're trying to lose weight. So that's really the short answer of a big question, obviously. But hey, if you want me to go more into detail about my diet and stuff like that, let me know. Next question is from Adrian B. They say, hey man, I absolutely love your channel. How the hell can someone in Europe get into the firearm side of 3D printing? It just seems crazy to me that people on this continent demonize firearms when it's seen its fair share of tyrants over the centuries. Okay, so in Europe, I'm not a lawyer and this is not legal advice, but generally speaking, it's very illegal in Europe to make your own guns. I don't know about each country's specific laws. I know that there's some countries that are more okay with it than others, but I think it's for the most part just pretty much banned throughout Europe. I may be wrong, but certainly in places like England, Germany, from my understanding, France, places in Europe that are, kind of like the bigger players in Europe definitely don't love homemade guns or 3D printed guns. So I can't suggest that you break your laws because that seems like it would be a bad move and a risk that's maybe a little bit too great to do based on a hobby. And it's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. If one was to not obey the law, I would say if one decided to take that risk hypothetically, which I wouldn't personally, but if someone decided to, I don't think that there's that these websites are necessarily blocked in the European countries, and there's always VPNs. Just my 2 cents. Outside of that though, you can always print like Nerf guns and stuff. I know that's kind of lame, but you could print like airsoft guns and Nerf guns if you still wanted to print something that you could have fun and shoot some targets with. There's always that. So, I mean, yeah, that is fun? Not necessarily, but it is still fun to make your own stuff, even if it's not firearm related. Prospo asks, can you 3D print some ammo? As in 3D printed slugs and cases. Well, that's interesting you asked that because Suckboy Tony, a very ingenious developer, is working on that, and he's working on caseless 3D printed ammo fired through an electronically ignited firearm. So check Suckboy Tony out on Instagram and on YouTube. He's doing some really cool stuff, and I think he's releasing one of his designs very soon. And you should all check out Suckboy Tony's. One of them is like a 50 cal crazy gun. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I will be doing a video on it at some point soon. I'm going to try to print my own. So Suckboy Tony, keep up the great work, and everyone should go check his stuff out. Next question is from Trigger and Crisis James. Would you support, promote, and possibly contribute to a file hosting site where all available files have been verified by trusted, authorized individuals only prior to being made publicly available? Well, that's interesting because that's how it works. For the most part, there have always been people in groups working together to put out files that are safe and have been tested. That is the whole mission behind Deterrence Dispensed, is they are doing all of the development work and all of the safety and testing prior to releasing these designs, so that you, the end user, or whoever decides to print it, is not going to be in danger. And that's why they put so many countless hours into not only testing these things and designing them, but also writing all of the documentation for the release. And that's why it takes a while for these guns to sometimes get from beta testing and alpha testing to finally releasing. And sometimes that process can take months or maybe even years. So these things are very highly tested before they get put out. And the places they get put out are all places that you can get them for free. So I can't say that where you can get them on YouTube, but those places exist. Okay? Next question is from Eric J. He says, Total Legend, do you collect guns that aren't printed? If so, what's one of your favorite non-printed guns you own? Whew, that's a tough question to answer. Well, probably one of my favorite guns that I own is, oh gosh. I mean, this new POF MP5 that I got, I really love that thing, and I just got a PS90, which right there in the background, which is pretty awesome. But the Zastava AK is one of my favorites. Probably like the Zastava AK is my favorite. I love it. It's heavy and it's chunky, and some people say it's not a real AK because the Yugo pattern is its own thing. But you know, I think it's got some charm to it, and I like it. And I do want to own a different AK, different kind of AK than this, just to see what it's like. But I really do love the Yugo pattern AKs, and they're their own little thing, and they're a little different. So yeah, probably the M70 right there. Very nice. Next question is from Zachary M. What slicer settings do you use? And for your Ender 3s, what's your print settings? Well, unfortunately, because of YouTube's new crackdown on 3D printing gun content, I had to remove my slicer settings video out of precaution. I didn't necessarily have to, and I know self-regulation is really annoying, and I know you guys, maybe some of you are upset with me, but you can find all of that stuff still on Odyssey. So if you want to check out my slicer settings and any other videos that I have removed, it's all on Odyssey. So just Google Print Shoot Repeat Odyssey and you will find it. Next question is from Voice of Reason, and they say, if you had a printer that could do the job, would you 3D print a tank? And yes, I absolutely would. Very nice. Tank, very good. All right, so that concludes the questions for this month's Q&A. If you want me to answer a question, I will try my best to get to it. Leave it in the comments. And even if you don't want to ask a question, let me know how you're feeling. What's your favorite video that I released this month? Any questions, any comments you have? I usually try to read all the comments. So please leave one and leave a like too. Just for me, for the algorithm, would be very, very nice. I would very much appreciate this. But since I'm in the Fleckton, I might as well talk like this, yeah? The next thing we do in this video, to conclude it, is I want to talk about a little bit about the merch offerings from badattitudedepartment.com. In the store, we have unfortunately stopped selling the paperweights. As a result of some of the crackdowns on the 80% laws, it's very much up in the air, so I am sorry for that. But so no more paperweights, but the uppers are still available, and the handguards. The PSR15 handguards are sold all alone now. If you want to put together some KAK parts, but only use a PSR handguard and upper or something like that, you could do that as well. Or you have your own barrel and you want to use a PSR15 handguard, the raw aluminum kind, you can do that as well. So those are sold separately now if we want to. In addition to that, we have all new colors for the hoodies. We have pink. Not only do we have regular flat pink, but we also have pink camo, which I will be bringing very soon onto the channel. I do like wearing pink sometimes, because sometimes I like to get a little bit flamboyant and flex my pink style. It's an inner style that makes me feel good, you know. And also sometimes you shoot something and this pink mist. So that's why we like pink hoodies. Anyway, I want to say also that there's new keychains that are high-vis orange in the store as well. So check out badattitudedepartment.com to look to all my merch, and the links to that is down in this description. It's like merch and more. It's like my link tree. It's a link to a link because of YouTube. So check out some of the merch. We've got t-shirts, we've got hoodies, we've got the auto seal shirts that I wore in the Beretta 92 video. So it's very good. Just check it all out, yeah. Have a go and tell me what you want for the next merch drop. If you have anything that you want me to try to offer through badattitudedepartment.com, let me know. And the t-shirts are very soft. Don't get it twisted. The t-shirts are very, very soft, and they feel very nice on your body, yeah? Like your mama holding you for the first time as a newborn. That kind of soft, yeah? Also, I want to say we've got some very exciting videos coming up in September. We've got the binary trigger for the KF5. We've got a 40 Smith & Wesson special Glock with a P80 magwell, and we've got also a whole gold Glock that will be very fun, in addition to some other videos. So have fun watching some of these videos in September, and a reminder that I make all of this content myself, not really getting that much help. Sometimes I have a very, very occasional guest cameraman, but for the most part it's just me and a tripod, and I do all of the editing and all of the music, and it takes quite a bit of time. So I put a lot of effort into this YouTube channel, and I hope you enjoy it. And generally I think you guys leave very positive comments, and I'm very, very grateful for that. And even when people leave stupid dumbass comments, I get a kick out of it too, and I try to respond in a cheeky way. But generally speaking, it's all positive, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a viewer and watching this and supporting me. It really means a lot, and the more viewers and the more subscribers I can get, the more crazy shit we can do and more crazy prints we can make, yeah? I want to do a plastic off very soon, so I might have to bring out the Tripolowski suit. Ha 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 ha. Alright guys, well that's been another episode of Print Shoot Repeat. If you're on the pooper and delaying the vibe, or maybe you're even listening to this while assembling a 3D printed gun, I want to salute you very much, and I hope you have a great day, a great week, and thank you for watching again, and there will never be another August 2022 again. So let's give it a round of applause, yeah? We made it through. Alright, take care guys. Till next time. Auf Wiedersehen. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Print Shoot Repeat. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Print Shoot Repeat.